What's good? Today I got another commentary guide on the new Awakening Sword core skill options. What I'll do is talk about each one and explain why you should or shouldn't use some of these skills and let you guys know what they do for each of those that didn't already check out the new core skills available. So let's get into it. First and foremost, for those that don't know, you can find these core skills under the Awakening tab in your skills tab. You have a total of 6 options, but can only select and pick one. Now let's discuss the ones that are more than likely the weaker or not as good core skills at first and why that is. Core, Dead Hunt, and Violation. So let's see why that is. Core Dead Hunt gives you frontal guard and effect nullified during cooldown, and the cooldown is a total of 6 seconds, meaning you can only use this frontal guard every 6 seconds. Now, to be fair, you don't really use Dead Hunt again within 6 seconds, usually in a combo, so that effect nullified doesn't hit as hard. In fact, the main issue is less about the 6-second window and more the ability itself. Dead Hunt is a great ability used by a lot of Awakening Swords as a combo piece for maximum damage output, a simple yet effective way to flow into other combo pieces, and therefore lies the issue. This ability is fine as is. It doesn't necessarily need any other add-ons to make it stronger. So let's just say like you do have the frontal guard on your Dead Hunt. Now what? The issue is Dead Hunt tends to be used in the middle of a combo, usually in a 1v1, while your opponent CC'd safe and sound. So you don't really risk safety when you're pulling a CC chain on them. So the frontal guard wouldn't really protect you from anything in that case. Only argument would be a possibly 1vx situation of doing a combo while other targets are around you to stop yourself midway. In which case you probably wouldn't Dead Hunt in the first place, but rather do entirely different combos safer for PvX situations anyway. So with that being said, since we only have one choice, we have to pick the most useful and optimal choice for this one, and quite frankly it doesn't measure up. Next is the Core Violation, a very ambitious core ability but unfortunately gets nerfed by its own cooldown. Core Violation with a frontal guard while using the skill, but effect nullified during the cooldown, and the cooldown is 6 seconds. This ability had so much potential to be broken if it weren't held back by the 6-second gap. Although to be fair, if it was flat permanent frontal guard 24/7, our class would not hear the end of it. More than likely something like that would get nerfed on its own. So however, as much as we want this to be good, the extra effect cannot keep up with the demands of how we would want to use it. Let's just say, even if you were to use this in grinding, with the amount of times you would spam Violation, you would only get that one frontal every 6 seconds, making the whole ordeal kind of pointless at that point. And by that time you use this in a PvP combo, the opponent is more than likely to be CC'd and therefore wouldn't need protection either. So this core skill wouldn't be the most optimal pick either, unfortunately. I will say this much as an honorable mention. We did get new Violation cancels a while back, and now that we have a core skill that gives Violation frontal, even if it's every 6 seconds, you could play this off as a gimmick to engage and Violation someone down with your frontal. It's definitely possible and a viable strategy, but not necessarily an orthodox method in my opinion. Use this core skill at your own discretion. Now let's talk about one of the popular picks people liked and have talked about for a while now. This one being Core Turnback Slash. This ability has super armor while using the skill, effect nullified during the cooldown with a 5-second cooldown. So what's interesting with this ability is the nature of how and when it's used. Even though it can't be super armor spammed with its cooldown, this ability has always been used as a way to catch out your opponents quickly and effectively, to the extent that the only drawback was its own safety. The ability can only bound someone when it's not on cooldown, so the cooldown effect doesn't actually affect it. You only use the Turnback Slash when the CC is available. But now it will have super armor available as well, which makes it for a very threatening catch. So if you find yourself using the Turnback Slash cancel a lot in 1v1s or even PvX to catch people out, this ability is great. Having a super armor CC ability to catch your opponents is by no means a bad thing at all. If you were to pick this, you would have less worry about getting caught in Turnback Slash and probably have more success in CCing people as well. Even in a 1vx large scale, would this also benefit your catches too? One important thing to remember is that the super armor is during the animation and not linger. The window of super armor it's pretty small, so don't expect to linger in super armor after this ability's animation finishes, but this core skill does still get a pass. Next is the core skill Cartian's Nightmare with now stiffness on good 1 hit. Now this right here is a funny gimmick. Not that you could or would use this as the start of a combo, even though it's maybe possible. The effect of stiffness would be interesting to do in a group fight setting where now your Cartian's Nightmare do more concentrated attacks, lower cooldown, and is a longer animation. This just adds to the cherry on top of Cartian's buffs in the past, so this could very well be a gimmicky thing to do in a group fight. Getting yourself into a group fight of people to stiffen them so your teammates could possibly follow up is a very well possible thing. Although a stiffen is just barely 1.5 seconds CC. Reasonably more of a group disruption than anything, but this ability has potential for a certain gimmick if you are willing to use Cartian's Nightmare a lot. In 1v1, It can catch people off guard at most, but definitely just disruption at best. It's just kind of a fun option, but that's about it. If you want to make this work as a plausible gimmick, give it a shot. I'd personally give this ability a half pass. It's not the best thing to have, but not necessarily the worst in comparison either. Next we have Core Blades of Darkness, super armor while using skill. So this is a nice touch, since when we use blades there was always a small window of a risk factor. And now that you could have super armor that takes out all of the unsafety when using this ability, realistically this isn't a bad option, but I think this only benefits those who actually use this ability. This ability kind of dictates the gap between good and bad sorcs. If you use this ability a lot and correctly with cancels, that sets you apart from the rest and also makes it so you're the perfect candidate for this core skill if needed. So if you don't even use blades, I probably wouldn't worry about it. But if you do use blades or use it a lot, this ability could be great for you. In fact, you could abuse it somehow if done consistently. There's no cooldown of the super armor, so that means you could abuse the super armor every time you activate blades. Overall, a solid pick for a 1v1 specialty and probably useful in group fights as well. But I definitely see this as a potential pick for a 1v1 scenario. I would give this ability a pass. And now finally, the last and probably best option there is Core Skill Green Reaper's Judgement, that now has super armor while using this skill. This ability has full super armor from start to even after finish. This ability is now going to be a threat in group fights more so than it was, and thanks to the super armor, it now counters those classes in 1v1s that would normally punish sorcs after using Grim in that window of unsafety. You simply cannot go wrong with this ability in all aspects of the game, and only reason you most likely wouldn't use it is if you don't use Grim that often in certain situations. That's understandable in simply your playstyle, but if you find yourself using this in group fights for sure, I would definitely take this with you. Outside of taking lots of super armor damage or getting grabbed, Core Grim will now officially be a safe high damage CC ability in Awakening's kit. This gets the badge in my opinion as the best option out of these core skills overall. Now let's wrap this up with a few answers as to what core skills should you get. Now, even though overall Core Grim may be the best, and still debatably to be honest, is it the best for you? You see, each ability has a purpose and a playstyle preference, so we already discussed why you shouldn't use Violation or Death Hunt for core skills, but what about the others? Well, if you're a person who uses Grim a lot, and I mean to the extent of spamming it like it's your grab, the Core Grim is definitely the best option for you. If you find yourself using Turn Max Slash a lot, 1v1s, or simply have good timing with it to catch your opponents out, Core Turn Max Slash will be a great pick for you as well, especially in 1v1s. Same thing with blades. If you think you're more of the higher tier sophisticated Awakening Sorc that knows how to utilize blades well and finding your consistent strong suit, in this case Core Blades would actually be the best option for you. And lastly, are you willing to use or possibly already use this ability a lot? Cartian's Nightmare. Maybe you enjoy the mix up in 1v1s or the play of the game team fight potential it brings in group fights. Core Cartian's Nightmare with the Stiffen is a decent wild card and will definitely catch people out if you use it correctly. So with that being said, let me know what you guys personally think of these core skills and which one you like and why. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.